mana nui. He mea nui ke ia I mua o lako. Ke paiki I nei lako I ia maua. Ai aloha mai o ia mako. Hui kala ko mako hema hema. Ai ho dandi ia ko I no hema lele. Amen. I ask the Lord to help us, to help you folks who are here to hear a greater story of our homestead, which the Lord has opened the way that we are enjoying now.
He Papakolea ke ia. This is Papakolea, one of 32 Hawaiian homesteads in the state of Hawaii. It is the only homestead located in urban Honolulu, a 2-minute drive from downtown's financial center and a brisk walk to Waikiki. But culturally, it is miles away. A community that was secured exclusively for Native Hawaiians by Native Hawaiians. Papakolea sits nestled atop a mountain, surrounded by some of the highest-priced residential real estate in America. Like all other Hawaiian homesteads, according to federal law, families can continue to live within the settlement borders only if each generation retains 50% or more Hawaiian blood. This is a story told by the founding kupuna, the Hawaiian elders of Papakolea, and generations of Hawaiians who inhabit our Hawaiian homelands. It is a story of a struggle that has lasted more than a century, a struggle to regain our lands, the heart and the foundation of our culture.
The interpretation of that song is that I live up here, Papakolea, and the lands was not fertile at that time. And this place was not pretty those days.
You know, when we first moved over here, we never had a water line, pipeline. We came up here, we had rainwater. We got to catch them from the roof, yeah.
Did you have electricity?
No, we had at Kukui Heliport that time. Only telephone was only telephone line was running up here. So we had to go walk all the way down to the river to take a bath. And anybody can carry a gallon water home, we carry a gallon water for drinking, you know.
This is Hawaiian area. So all the people that lived here at that time used to live alongside campus. And about 100 families.
This was not a homestead.
No.
And
this territorial leased land, and more like we were squatters. We can build any kind of shack. When the territory leave the land, 30 days to give us, you get out of this land. But somebody cockroach us, and why should those poor Hawaiians come up here and build shacks and this and that? So the cockroach us and they sold the land. So it took a long time before we had the right people to ask for homestead.
When you have a homestead land, it's not just to live. You're supposed to work at the land and plant, you know. Actually, where I live, I don't have a single space that I don't have anything on the land. In fact, I told the people in the community that's what the land is for, that was given to us. Make good use of the land, not just let it go. We lived up here until, what time was 19, so we had to break our house down and we built a new one. So this house here, my grandchildren, they all worked hard, carrying those big lumber and everything, you know. It's quite an improvement. Then you see all the greens, it was nothing. But we planted all these things up here.
Hard work, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Do your grandchildren know what you went through to make this a homestead?
If they did, I never asked them.
Did
But-
you ever tell them the story?
Well, we tell now and then, but they're not listening. They're not listening.
Mr. Chairman, I come before you today as a representative of the Native Hawaiian people whose original position of self-governance, once under a sovereign, has been taken away. The Native Hawaiians are the last people of a once great nation, numbering approximately 400,000 at the time of the arrival of the first foreigners to our shores. We are now depleted down to approximately 43,000. Threats of our extinction are severe. The loss of our identity, culture, and heritage is imminent. I represent these Native Hawaiians who are waiting redress from the federal government for the loss of our lands, our economic deprivation, our declining social and physical health, and our disappearing culture.
Oh, honest Americans, as Christians, hear me for my downtrodden people. Their form of government was as dear to them as yours is precious to you. As you love your country, so they love theirs. Do not covet the little vineyard so far from your shores. Your fathers told of the living God, and he will keep his promise, and he will listen to the voices of his Hawaiian children lamenting for their home.
In 1928, some government lands here were sold at public auction. It included our home site and the homes of 2 other Hawaiian families. We were asked to carry on as caretakers, which we did for 6 years. Then suddenly we were asked to move. After living here 30 years, we were just kicked out. Now we are uncertain what will happen next. Howleys continue to come around as if interested because of it. It is useless to attempt to improve one's living conditions. I'm 65 years of age now. What can I do?
No one ever explained to us that we could get title to the land we lived on. So we never did own our kuleana. Some parents had children who explained things to them. They were fortunate. Ours were stupid. They didn't understand. We lost everything, but our history cannot be taken away from us.
Hawaiians did not have a concept of private property in the Western sense. Land was not something that in ancient Hawaii could be sold. Even the chief could not sell or permanently alienate land. So the Hawaiians didn't have any idea that land was something that could be permanently sundered from them. In the 1840s, the Hawaiian monarchy was under a lot of pressure from foreign business interests, missionaries, even foreign governments, to change this system of use and tenancy to one more like Western real estate.
You must not think this is anything like olden times. If a big wave comes in, large fishes will come from the dark ocean that you never saw before. The ships of the white man have come, and smart people have arrived from the great countries. They know our people are few, and living in a small country, they will eat us up.
In an event called the Great Mahele, Mahele means division, the Hawaiian monarchy instituted a system of private property. The division was absolutely astonishing because we're talking about millions of acres going to the chiefs and the king. And the sum total of acres awarded to the commoners, that is to say the mass of the Hawaiian people, was about 26,000 acres. Well, the Great Mahele allowed a class of foreign business interests to acquire land in perpetuity. Chiefs sold off a lot of land, and the king sold land to foreigners for $1 an acre.
15 or 20 individuals have dropped all connection with their native countries and become permanent residents, accumulated much property, plantations, herds of cattle, goats. One has introduced the orange, pineapple, horses from California, flocks of beautiful doves, and English hares. A motive entirely selfish, he has denied the seeds and every means of propagation to others. Besides this class of foreigners, 200 runaway sailors and vagabonds, the very dregs and outcasts of society, and the greatest corrupters and obstacles to our teaching.
The Hawaiians, for a multitude of reasons, tended to sell off their lands or simply abandon them. Did they really understand that this piece of paper, this title, was the sum total of their rights in land, and that if they left or sold it, they could never come back again? I very much doubt that Hawaiians growing up in a system of use and tenancy rights had a full understanding of what Western private property means. It was the beginning of the Hawaiian diaspora, the dispossession of the Hawaiians, and as the rural subsistence lifestyle became harder and harder to maintain, the Hawaiians abandoned the land in droves and they fled to the cities.
The dollar has become the government for the commoner and for the destitute. Through cleverness and cunning, instead of good coming to the Hawaiian people, strangers will get the benefit from the wealth.
The state of the islands at the present time is very interesting. It is the desire of the chiefs that all classes of people should learn. One young man asked me for a book yesterday, and I inquired who his teacher was. He replied, "My desire to learn, my ear to hear, my eye to see, my hands to handle. For from the sole of my foot to the crown of my head, I love the Palapala."
My dear sister in Christ, we hope and long to see some plan for the improvement of the Maka'ainana, whether the people can be helped to keep from under the wheels of Anglo-Saxon civilization. They waste away fast enough without foreign despotism to hasten their extinction. Let them die free men and be buried in their own soil. We will be content, but do hope for more.
Hawaiians were pretty much driven from the lands or abandoned the lands because things were so difficult. How could the Hawaiian government then prevent an ultimate takeover?
When the provisional government overthrew the Hawaiian monarchy with the backing of invasion forces of the United States government, it confiscated control of ancestral Hawaiian lands. At annexation, the Republic of Hawaii ceded those stolen lands to the U.S. government, but neither the Queen nor the Hawaiian people ever surrendered sovereign claims over those lands. By 1917-1918, 42% of the Hawaiian people lived in Honolulu. That was about 17,000 people.
There was at least some money to be made in the cities. They took up proletarian kinds of occupations, small peddler occupations. Some of the women became domestics, some became prostitutes. Any way to get money. It was no longer a situation where Hawaiians were self-sufficient on the land. They had to further engage in some way with the cash economy to live.
conditions of Hawaiians in the cities had deteriorated to a point where the leading Hawaiian politicians felt that they needed to do something very drastic in order to rescue the Hawaiian people from extinction. The Hawaiian Homes Commission Act was drafted by a group of Hawaiian leaders. At the forefront was Prince Jonah Kuhio Kalani'anaʻole. Kuhio planned to rehabilitate the Hawaiian people by returning them to their ancestral lands to farm and to fish.
If conditions remain as they are today, it will only be a short span of time when this race of people, my people, renowned for their physique, their courage, their sense of justice, their straightforwardness, and their hospitality, will be a matter of history.
He petitioned Congress to set aside the Crown lands, approximately 800,000 acres, for exclusive homesteading by the Hawaiian people. The American elite in Hawaii wanted to lease these same lands for ranching and sugar plantations. As the bill made its way through Congress, the planter and rancher lobbyists had great influence. They convinced Congress to set up some type of blood quantum to define who would be eligible.
Congress asked Prince Kuhio, "What is your definition of a native Hawaiian?" The prince said, in blood quantum, 1/32. Now, that meant almost everybody living in Hawaii would have qualified at that time. The Congress could not agree. As a matter of fact, they were intensely against it.
The Hawaiian leaders were forced to accept a compromise. A mere 200,000 acres of the worst of these lands were set aside for exclusive homesteading only for Hawaiians of 50% Hawaiian ancestry or more. They probably believed that after a generation, the Hawaiians would die off and the lands would revert back to their control. As plantations and ranches expanded, many Hawaiians were displaced from their rural homelands, forced to move to Honolulu to get jobs. Given the severe housing shortage, many Hawaiians settled on vacant public lands. Papakolea was ideal, suited to raising upland taro and sweet potato. Nearby Paoa Valley had natural streams and springs which furnished fresh water for domestic purposes. By 1930, official government policy was to evict Hawaiian families, who they called squatters, from government lands. 100 Native Hawaiian families lived on these ancestral lands now controlled by the U.S. government. Threatened with losing their homes, this community banded together to petition Congress to include their settlement under the Hawaiian Homelands Program.
My grandmother was half Hawaiian, half Portuguese. My grandfather was half Haole, and because my great-grandmother was Chloe, so she come half Haole, half Hawaiian. So it makes my father half Hawaiian, quarter Portuguese, quarter. So by the time come down to 1/8, yeah. This is how I remember it. So all road used to come over here, come down over here, go down the hill over here, and come back like that. The only one up here living now that's used to be in 1921, Shea. Isizaki Ona, Rufina, Lee, the sister, Philomena, Ching.
I was born back in Maui, in the deep valley of Honokohau, on March the 6th, 1907, and then moved to Honolulu when I was 12 years old, and moved to Papakolea when I was 14 years old, and stayed in Papakolea till now.
In the old days, we had the water is turned off until 9 o'clock in the night. And so, since we at this beginning of the water pipe, we have the first privilege. So we fill up all the containers, what we have, then we close the water so our neighbors can, and that's how the water goes.
I met Miss May Boren back in the 20s, when she came to Papacolia to offer her services as a public health nurse. Everybody understood that she did a lot of work among the Hawaiians up in Papacolia.
Through this nurse, Miss Boren, take the clinic up here for convenience for us and our babies. And then she said that house was too small. So she asked for this land up here, or plenty empty land. We cleaned the lot over there, and where the money for build, no more. Right in the front of Queen Hospital was offices. It was going to broke down. And the crazy house at School Street was going to broke down. So that lumber over there and the lumber of the crazy house, and the people donate, the people who had a heart to donate, because Mr. Maunapau put all in the newspaper. We need help. We have these old houses, but and then the community was built. And so we had our clinic, and that's how it started. And then we had to fight for homestead.
The distinguished Hawaiian scholar Thomas Maunapau helped them understand Western land law. They met night after night, year after year, and petitioned Congress until they finally succeeded in getting the 90 acres included in the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act for permanent and secure settlement by these pioneer Hawaiian families.
We asked that we want this area to be homestead because Maunapau was doing all the paperwork. And he said, this is how, those days we speak pidgin language. You want over here? We said, yeah. You want over there? That's going up the hill now. Yeah. You want beyond the hill? Yeah. So that's how it became Papacolia, Kalabahine, and Makiki.
At legislature, we had to meet and meet. We asked for 99-year lease homestead because the Hawaiians seldom get no land. So better 99-year lease. So the Hawaiians cannot sell, they just stay here.
You know, up here, Papacolia, we really political mind people. We fight. But after when it's over, we just like one big happy family.
We noticed that most of the names on the petition are women. Why?
Because we're the women.
We're the women, yeah.
We're the women.
We want our home.
The people that signed the petition were the ones who really went to legislature and follow all what we're supposed to do. And those are the people, yeah.
We didn't have much money, but we went to plant Kalupi, thank the Lord. And then, Maunapau read in the paper, Roosevelt Committee, I forget the Kalupi, go look for Hawaiian quilt. So, somebody had, we are poor, but that's in Hawaiian, up here, $75 quilt. And you say, we cannot afford. So I went, and with my mother, to Paholo, and we found one $35 quilt.
Governor Poindexter, my friends and fellow Americans of the territory of Hawaii, the problems that you are solving are the problems of the whole nation. And your administration in Washington will not forget that you are, in very truth, an integral part of the nation.
Mr. Sugunoma, she announced this President Roosevelt come. Everybody get together. Oh, let's go make potluck. Oh, the food.
You know, when Roosevelt came, we were just like small children following the motorcades.
We have a hula going on the road and everything. While he was driving, we were dancing on the side.
We were proud because Papacolia was there. He's the President of the United States of America. And the first time the President ever did come, we were so happy that we met the President of the United States. So we all got together. We learned the song Papacolia. That evening, they were going to have entertainment down at the governor's home. So we went down there, and I was game enough to dance Papacolia.
And you were how old?
I was 21.
It was good, really good. All Hawaiians get together. Haole people, mixed and all that. They join us for the dinner. They join with the Hawaiians. Say, come on, come. Hele mai ai, hele mai ai. And they said, gee, what we saying? We said, come and eat. The kalupi and the barbecue meat. Oh, they were eating. But Roosevelt was really good.
I have seen with my own eyes that you are doing much to
My
improve
dear Mr. Monopau,
standards of living.
I have been greatly pleased to receive the kind letters of July 25th signed by so many of my good friends in Hawaii, and wish them all to know of my personal and sincere thanks. I am taking Mrs. Roosevelt the quilt which you have presented to her. She will be as appreciative as I am for your thoughtful kindness. I shall always remember my visit to the islands with the greatest of pleasure. Sincerely, Franklin D. Roosevelt.
Hawaiians was noted to give and give, you know. You ask for one, they give you two. They don't want to give you only one. And if they tell you take, they don't like you only take one. And if you don't take, you hurt them, you know. Yes.
I think the Aloha spirit is beautiful. And welcoming people to, to the islands. And I think it's one of the most important things to do is to welcome people to Hawaii.
They say it's swing time in Honolulu. In Honolulu, it's always swing time. Natives are humming, guitars are strumming. It's always swing time in Honolulu.
My mother was one of the lay sellers, and in the old days, as I grew up, ships coming in from the Matson mines, the Mariposa, the Monterey. As they enter the harbor, the whistle blew. And the women from this area, along the slopes of Punch Bowl, up into the Hawaiian homestead area of Papakolea, who were lay sellers, started down toward the harbor with their lay baskets to sell lays. By the time the second whistle blew, the ship was in the harbor and they were there.
During those days, none of them were employed, and so that was one way of getting quick money.
The flowers were grown in their yards. A plumeria lei, which is about $4 today, was just 25 cents.
I started to sell lace when I was 18 years old. We didn't care because we want the money. And we sold anything, we steal flowers and all that. We went to graveyards and steal flowers from the graveyard with so many flowers all fall on the ground. So we were stealing them, making lace and go down in waterfront and sell.
But I shave. So I don't hardly sell any because I don't dare show me up to the people.
Those beaches where love is right. Those babies that love it right. Beneath the yellow moon as mellow as a cello.
We didn't know what kind of houses they were. Good houses, bad houses. As long as they buy our lace, yeah. We used to do anything for money up here. Those were the young ladies.
I'd rather have those days on instead of now. Yeah, with all the money they get now and the crooked, the politicians are for the best. I give them credit because they went to school, they got education, they get the permit to do the. If you don't have education, that's robbery, you know. If you have education, that's research. Yeah, they do research.
I come from a place I'm very proud of, Papakolea, Hawaiian homestead. But I think it was, really grassroots because, we were poor and we never knew we were poor. I mean, we had a house, and this house meant everything to us. We had a big backyard. We could plant sweet potatoes. We had guavas, mangoes. But, we didn't know we were poor until we left Papakolea and found out, wow, look what get on the other side.
Papakolea, my first home, place where I remember night blooming series, lots of luau's and lots of family and gatherings. And my favorite little story is that we would have all our family coming over. And we would all line up the mo'opunas and all the kids. And we would all have these navy bowls that my father would somehow have in our possession from the Navy. And we would all go up to this long chow line. And when we got up to the front, you know, I felt like this was a huge party we were having. And then Mama would put in dumplings, flour and water, and boiling water. And then we would all go off and sit under the pumeri trees and eat. And I thought it was a celebration. And in retrospect, since I've grown up, I realized we were starving. We were starving on Hawaiian homelands in the late 40s and early 50s.
Well, I grew up in a time that there was a territory on the verge of becoming statehood. So to be an American was, you know, the priority thing. And Hawaii, to be in Hawaiian was like to vanish in the sunset. And so going to an elementary school in Pa'o Valley, coming from Papakolea was like homestead, reservation, you know, almost like handout land. So sometimes, you know, you could feel the vibes of the other children not playing with you. And to be a Hawaiian was almost like putting a shield in front of yourself. But at that time, it was very, very difficult. And you almost wanted to reach out for friendship as children. Your peers are very important to you. And yet there was a pull away because of the fact, part of it, you're Hawaiian and coming from a homestead. I don't live in Papakolea, but you will never take Papakolea out of me. It will always be my home. It's too bad that my children can never experience it. We come up as often as we can, and I know for the families that are up there, the kids that I've grown up with, I'm sure they all feel the same way. We were always surrounded by people and children. Our house was always filled.
In Papakolea, they've been passing down the culture regardless of the situation in which they find themselves changed. If we have pride in ourselves and in our culture, we will keep doing it. If it's our language, we will keep speaking it. We will keep learning it. We will keep passing it on.
When we first went to school, all Haole teachers said, "Don't let me hear you folks speak Hawaiian." Well, you don't blame them because them Haole and here you Hawaiian talking. So how can she listen to us and us? So when we go home, and our mother say, "Oh, do this and that." Which one, Mama? This one, that one. That's all I would say. And our mother don't scold. She says, "I, Ole." She said, "Yes," and "No." So that's how we learned. I was fortunate to learn some Hawaiian, and now you know.
In fact, during our time, it was forbidden. Hawaiian language was forbidden. The students were forbidden to use Hawaiian language in the school. And if you were caught, you were punished. But in Papakolea, I taught Hawaiian. I was the director, so I could, you know, do what I pleased. I taught the children like the days of the week, you know, and the month, and then counting, and then I taught them to sing Hawaiian songs.
Well, if we characterize Western thinking in epistemology as black and white, the Hawaiians have a different understanding of that. Moses taking the stick and saying, okay, if I throw this down, it becomes a serpent. That's not difficult for us to say happened, because that is possible in the realm of spiritual power, that it's possible. It's not actual, but possible.
They sit down with some old Hawaiians, and the old Hawaiians, they tell them about the kind of akulele and all kind of benihuni and, you know, all those kind of folklores, eh?
the days of old, you know, we come home midnight because we go dancing, you know. We come home midnight and we hear louder voices. That's the choices. Then we see red clouds, you know, just like ball of fire.
There's a constant conflict between the dominant Western way, which we have to abide by in order to survive now, and the Polynesian way. So that conflict constantly goes on. We Native Hawaiians in our homeland have the worst health profile of all ethnic groups in Hawaii. So we have the shortest life expectancy compared to the others and the highest mortality rates, death rates for the major causes of death, such as heart disease, cancer, stroke, diabetes, accidents, hypertension, kidney failure. This is the plight of our Kanaka Maoli people. It was more swollen before.
I think Hawaiian better, he better than Maoli.
There you are. Looking at my we have the highest rates of homelessness, even with so-called Hawaiian Homes program. In the 70 years since then, less than 4,000 families have been put on the lands. More than 60% of the lands are leased to non-Kanaka Maoli. Less than 20% of the lands occupied by Native people. And there are 12,000 eligible beneficiaries on the waiting list.
I was displaced at age 9. My mother had to make a choice about leaving Papakolea. She had to make that choice because she felt like she was married to my haole father, and therefore I would not have 50% Hawaiian to inherit. I'm saddened for my own children, my own mo'opunas, who, by this definition that they're not 50% Hawaiian, almost makes them not Hawaiian. And who has a right to make us not Hawaiian? When I watch my son climb the highest mountain in Ka'ala and hunt for food, and dive in the Pacific, in the deepest ocean, and come up with he'e and squid and opihi, you know, I realize my boy is Hawaiian. This is our place, and Hawaiians should have a place. All Hawaiians should have a place in Hawaii.
It has impacted on so many Hawaiians that because of that blood quantum definition, other people have decided if we are or if we are not Native Hawaiians. One of the great cultural skills that we Native Hawaiians have been known for throughout the world is our skill at being able to orally chant our ancient genealogies, which go back to some of them to 1100 years. Now, the Native Hawaiian family can usually go back 5 or 6 generations to prove their ancestry. The law of 1920 specifically negates that, supersedes our ancient genealogies, and says again, it is by our law, and we will decide, not by your ancestry, if you are or you're not Native Hawaiian.
What makes Native people very much alike, be they Alaska Native or American Indian or Native Hawaiian, is that since the time of European contact, whether on the mainland or in 1778 in the Hawaiian Islands, became victims of history and of waves of migration, so that they lost control over their destiny and over their fate. When you have loss of self-esteem and a loss of a sense of self-worth, you begin to feel alienated and isolated even in your own homeland.
Where we used to live, the landlord, he passed on, and then the son took over the leasehold, and we were staying there for the last 10 years, and we got, you know, like ejected out of the house because he knocked down our house and built a prefab home. I work now. I'm out on sick leave because I injured my foot. me picturing myself here, I feel sorry. Sometimes late at night I cry. You see my kids in this kind of environment and stuff like that. The environment is nice, no trouble of any sort, but just of kids growing up without a roof over their head. We got to pitch tent. 5 days later, we got to break tent, sleep in the truck. You know, take cold showers. You know, eat over a gas stove, which is not, we're getting by, you know, because we got to deal with what we got.
How does it feel to be living like this?
Well, I'm embarrassed.
You're embarrassed. Yeah. Do the other kids at school know?
Yes.
How do they know?
Because some live over here, or they go to the market pool and then they see us over here.
Mm-hmm. And what?
And they tease.
They tease you. But you know that's not going to be forever.
I know.
What do you say to them?
I just walk away.
I know how it feels to hit rock bottom and the cost of living here in Hawaii. I've got money, but it's not enough to get myself established again. I'm trying to save and get back on my foot again. But I want to get on the Hawaiian Homes land. But my name is not too far up on the list. It's at the bottom. And by the time I think I do have a chance, I might be old and gray where my daughter could get it, but there's still a chance.
Oh, gracious Heavenly Father, you have been our fathers of our ancestors, and still today you are our Father. We call on you to be with us all. Especially we ask you for strength and courage and hope for our native Hawaiians who are standing firm on this aina. Maiki ila aku, oikamanava pau ole.
This land belongs to our children. Mua!
Are you planning any arrest this morning?
No, we're not, unless it's necessary. They are obstructing the law.
Let me ask you something.
What?
You think Hawaiian people have as much opportunity as anybody else here?
Nope.
Why not?
We're being stepped on. We're being stepped on. We're being moved up.
It's been estimated that when Cook first came here in 1778, first foreigners, by 1893, population was down to 90,000. So over 95% reduction in our population in about 100 years. Since then, it's been progressively down here, so that now less than 8,000 or so of us are pure Hawaiians. And it's been estimated, projected, but that by the year 2040, in the next century, there will be no more Piha Kanafa Maoli, pure Hawaiians.
My ancestors came into Plymouth Rock, and forced the Indians out. We put them on reservations and so forth. And I think the Hawaiians should have their land.
A lot of people complain there is no aloha today. And I always tell them there is still aloha today, but it's now more expensive.
It's on Waikiki Beach, where the hotels are. That's not us. That's business. That's making profit. That's making money. Cleaning toilets, making beds, cleaning the grounds. Now our people are being taught. You ought to be grateful for this. These are jobs. Waiting on tourists. So it's demeaning. So we need to be revitalizing our culture. Culture is a way of living life.
I'm 75% Hawaiian.
I'm 100%, 90% Hawaiian.
3/4.
Are you born and raised here?
Born and raised.
How about your parents?
Born and raised.
Both of them?
Yeah. No, it's my mother.
Yeah. Same house?
Same house.
What about your grandfather and grandmother?
That's the house right there.
Same house? Do you think you'll ever move out of Papakolea and live somewhere else?
I don't think so.
I feel proud to be Hawaiian because there's not that many of us. And then when I take the opportunity to go to the mainland, they have no idea what a Hawaiian is.
You know, we're born into a world now that we can't even speak our own native language. We have to go and learn it in schools.
Do you speak Hawaiian?
I can't speak fluent Hawaiian.
But you're learning. How about you?
I learn every day.
Broken, very.
Are you learning?
Yeah. Larry speaks pretty well.
Yeah, I'm learning Hawaiian in school. But it's funny because my dad, he's pure Hawaiian. He doesn't know a word. He knows a few words here and there, but then when the missionaries came and when the Caucasian people came, they told Hawaiian people never to speak Hawaiian because you'll never get you anywhere. And this is the product. My dad can't speak Hawaiian. It's sad.
And how can you share with anybody else or keep the traditions alive unless you start doing it with your brothers and the people that you live with?
It is sad.
If you could talk to kids your age coming up, what would you say?
Stick with your roots. Never forget your past.
Do you feel hopeful?
Yeah.
Do you think there's a chance?
Amen.
You know, some people say maybe in 100 years not going to be any more Hawaiians around. What do you think?
We'll be around for a while.
We'll be around. I don't think there'll be too many pure Hawaiians. We'll be Hawaiian people. We'll be around. Hawaiians at heart. Caucasians, all the people coming in, you know. They can become Hawaiians at heart. There's nothing wrong with that.
Before you go to school, no discrimination. You could play with the Portuguese children. You could play with the Japanese children. You go to their place. You come inside. Mama San give you something to eat. You go Portuguese. Have them knead the bread. They give sweet bread. You know, you can go any place. Today, I don't know, something not right someplace. I don't know.
My grandchildren hardly eat Hawaiian food. Chinese, Japanese food. Chinese, Japanese food and Howley food. I want to eat steak tonight. I want to eat.
I don't know what will happen in the future because they all have their own ways. And the law says don't punish your children yet. So they boss you even. They tell you what to do.
You look at my grandchildren, you know, you can see the Howley inside because the white, you know, the white in them.
I only have one son that will be eligible to have that part that I have.
If you have several grandchildren, it's good to sit and talk to them, you know, that this place, if you want grandma's home, you have to marry Hawaiian because your blood is diminishing. And when it is less than 50% Hawaiian, you're sure not going to get this home. You want this home, you have to look for Hawaiian.
In the future, I don't know if you get any more land with all these foreigners buying the land. So at least we get homestead land.
At today's hearing, we will develop the record on the nature and the extent of the federal and state responsibility under the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act.
There was a time not too long ago when the homesteaders themselves were reluctant to discuss the Hawaiian Homes Act because of the fear that it might be declared unconstitutional.
It's about programs, people, and most importantly, it's about restoring the dignity and the rights of a people.
And the issue keeps coming up as to whether or not are we a nation like the Indians are, who received large sums of money for their homes, for the infrastructure, for the building of affordable homes.
Hawaiian and non-Hawaiian alike recognize that there is an obligation to the Native Hawaiian people, whose islands these used to be, that the federal government passed a law that set aside certain lands for the Hawaiian people, and that at the very least they should have those lands. I think there's a general consensus among all the people in Hawaii that there's been an injustice here.
Meanwhile, we're counting fewer numbers, we're counting many deaths, we're counting the possibility of an extinct nation and an extinct people, while lawyers
sit here and argue and debate on whether our race should live or die. I find that absolutely devastating to our people.
And what Papakolea symbolizes is that the Hawaiians have waited long enough. They've suffered in silence. They've made their own way, despite that which they had coming to them as a result of the Hawaiian Homes Act.
On January 17, 1993, a solemn crowd of 10,000 people marched on Iolani Palace. They came to observe the 100th anniversary of the overthrow of Queen Liliuokalani, Hawaii's last reigning monarch. The elders of Papakolea led a proud procession of friends and family from their community.
Mahalo. We can fight for land, we can fight for water, we can fight for everything. But as a people, as a nation, if we do not know who we are, what are we fighting for? We breathe the same. The Aina is the Hawaii, and the people are the Hawaii. There's no difference between the two. The blood and the soil is the same thing. Maka olelo kokako mana. Our mana is in our language. Olelo mai na kapuna kamalaka hikoloa. Mala mo ka olelo koha no kamea ika olelo ke olelo ka olelo kamake. Learn our language. Be strong. Ikaika. And that's a responsibility each and every one of you have today. We have something very special, and that is that philosophy of aloha. And I can remember time and time again, Michael Puna telling me, anger, discontent, confusion accomplishes nothing. Wakahuhu, kamea e ola oleai. There is no life to being angry. But when you work together, unified, ke aloha no imua kako apau. Aloha.
Nice place to be, it's Papakolea. There's a lot of kids you see here, right? And kids make it fun to have around.
You proud to be Hawaiian? Yeah. Because it's fun, and then you can learn many Hawaiian things.
I want to be a sports coach. I have to teach. And I want to be a basketball player.
I want to live in California.
I want to be a kickboxer like Dennis Lex. And I want to be a heel box. I want to be.
But if you move to California, who's going to take care of the land here?
Me? I'll give you the land.
As old-timers here, we all love each other. But nowadays, all strangers, they look at you. They don't know you are the founders, but that's okay. They don't know the history, so we don't blame them.
What would you say to young Hawaiians today?
They need to get to their kupunas and their elders while they're alive. They need to learn before they lose everything.
Culture is a way of living life. Aina is our name for land. Aina means that which feeds us. Just as the land feeds us, nourishes us, we have to take care of the land and the environment, not only for ourselves, our generation, but for future generations for all time.
I don't know if you have this anywhere else in the world. There may be other places like Papakolea, but to me, that will always be home.